This episode of the Stickers and Scuffs podcast has been brought to you by Remax Jack. Jack provides a friendly, customer-driven service in search for homes and provides excellent details on the market, values, and trends in buying and selling. Jack has been able to work with Cam on his search and always makes himself available when he has a question. Remax Jack will help you if you're looking to buy or sell a home within the GTA. He's who Cam K trusts to find his next home, and he should be yours too. Remember, call Remax Jack and start to pack. For more information, go to remaxjack.ca.
Hello, friends. We have finally made it. The end of the 2023 racing season, end of the 2023 year, final episode for the year. And we couldn't pick a bigger guest, the guy himself, a legend, we will call him. I don't know. You literally have hands in so many different things, Clinton Geoffrey, part of NASCAR Canada series, part of the APC series, Ohsweken Speedway, GForceTV. What don't you do?
A few things. Stay home very often in the summer. That's one of them. No, I think I've been fortunate. I got a great family, and from day one, Christine kind of supported my dream to go after it, and that's kind of why we stuck together all these years. Because I probably should have gotten a real job many years ago. And everybody thinks I'm fortunate, but I was the guy who wouldn't give up my racing dream. Had to make sure. I mean, I was playing in bands, making money on the weekends as a singer and a musician, and then, I was the one having to lug all the gear around for 5 other guys who didn't give a crap. And then I'm like, wait a minute, I can go to the races and have fun. And the joke I always had, the worst I'm ever going to finish is third at the races announcing, and it's pretty rare that I take my stuff home in a basket all broken up like the race crews do. So I don't have a lot to complain about, but I have been fortunate enough to get involved in as many things as you said. It's been an awesome ride. And, I come from inner city Hamilton, where we shouldn't be in this game at all. I'm certainly not a rich kid like most people playing in the sport. Wherever we got is through hard work and, just being at the right place and really not giving up. I mean, I'm 27 years into this, so it didn't happen overnight.
No, it definitely didn't. That's for sure. We're going to crack a Pepsi here with Clinton tonight.
You probably specially bought that just for him too, huh?
I like your style.
Yeah,
I'll take
pop
it.
That in the GSR koozie too.
There we go.
I got one of them around here somewhere too, but I was actually thinking that. We're on the same page already, so that's good.
There you go. Got you covered, bud. We want to talk about kind of the motorsports landscape, if you will, and the representation of a lot of industries that have really come on. I mean, some of these companies have always been there, but we're really kind of seeing the activation and what it takes to be kind of a racing at this in the 21st century. I mean, we have promotion and media represented, manufacturing companies, that sort of thing. Driver coaching, entertainment, like sim racing with TJ and Valhalla Mobile. What's your take on seeing all this happening right now in front of us?
I mean, I think we're at definitely an interesting spot, but still precarious in many ways. I mean, I've been on the phone all day today trying to book races and try and figure it out. And I don't know how much time we got, but I got so much inside stuff I could tell you guys that's been going on even in the last couple months for me, from, dealing with SRX, which is basically top of the food chain. I mean, I'm in deep waters when I'm talking with these guys, money wise and all that. We can talk about that too. Blow your mind, the numbers we're talking. But I think we're in a good spot. I mean, Ontario racing in general is in a pretty good spot. I mean, even a series that is dear to your heart, like the OSS was on life support 3-4 years ago, and it seemed to rebound. At Ohsweken in my backyard where I manage. The year I took over, I think our last year was our last Friday night of my first year managing. We had 13 360 sprint cars, and now our average was 27 again. So we've built that back up. I try and tell a lot of people, one of the things I try not to panic from year to year. Even this year, the APC series has a lot of drivers, higher profile drivers looking other places. Let's say nobody's really made the depart, but you got JR looking around, and I know Rick Spencer Walt's been looking at a sprint car. There's all kinds of things. But I think ebb and flow, you have new people coming in as new people move out. And it's kind of like that wave of one year you're up, next year you're down. Don't panic. And the long-term business people of this business, be it the John Casellis or, those types of people who've been in this a long time, they're going to tell you, hey, I've had it way worse and way better than we are right now. It's kind of like emotions, don't get, or when you're, with your own achievements, like don't get too high on your wins and too low on your lows, because there's a lot of gap in the middle that, you got to find your common ground there and where your happy spot is. But I think racing's in a good spot. From the corporate world, I still think all of us are trying to find that magic potion to get in the door, to get the money. And every once in a while, one of us will hit a big lunker and we'll reel in that big fish. And everybody tries to carve out a piece of that same fish by knocking on the same guy's door. And the poaching isn't cool. I mean, sometimes, I've dealt with it. And sometimes it comes to us. Like one thing from the GForce side, if a sponsor comes to us and it's clearly on someone's car, we're going to go to that driver and say, hey, man, this guy just came knocking on our door. Before we take your opportunity, what can we do to build an opportunity with you on GForce to tie the race team in? So we both win, because we don't just want to take it, but just so you know, we didn't knock on their door. They came to us, and that's a big thing, is respecting what the work your peers have put in. I think is to not poach all the same doors is a big thing.
Yes.
I've learned over the years, but we're still trying to find that magic way to get in the door. And it's like sales. It's like anything. You got to get the right, you got to knock on a lot of doors to get doors to open. Like I came from corporate sales where I wore a suit and tie before this. That was my job. I sold burglar alarms and video cameras and security systems for Tyco ADT. So I was like anything over 10,000 square feet. So basically I was working with malls and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And you have to get to the gatekeeper, the check signer, because if you're not talking to the right person, it doesn't matter how much or how great your sales pitch are. Or, obviously in this business, the perfect way is find the check writer who likes racing, who can relate to what you're trying to pitch and has the access to the budget. So that's the hardest part, I think, is just getting in. Back to the corporate world, they taught us the funnel. You got to put lots of drops in the funnel, and eventually you'll get a trickle out the bottom. But it takes a lot of drops to make that happen. And I think, it's one of those deals. Hey, man, sales is the hardest thing in this business. And, a lot of people, unless you have a real great thing or they're into it already, it's tough to get. Even GForce, we're bringing you the best in Ontario, free to everybody. It's still a tough sale to somebody who doesn't get what racing is. And the biggest thing I try to explain to these corporations is, look, there aren't a lot of people saving this deal. So if you get in there, you're what I call a savior sponsor. People are going to look at you like, you're one of the apostles here, because you're saving everything. So you're going to get your first crack. And the way I equate it is, we're fiercely loyal in racing. So if you put your brand on someone's car or a Speedway fence or our broadcasts, I think, if I'm in that service, for example, if I want epoxy flooring, I'm going to call McGlynn.
Yep.
Because he's the guy that we all know. Now, it's up to Sean to make the deal, to give me the price I want, to give me good customer service, to return my calls, to have the color I want, have the fit, whatever it is. Yep. But he's going to get that first call, and then it's up to him to try and make that work. And that's fairly true. I think our community does a great job of supporting those who support us.
So, Clinton, what do you think is the biggest mistake then for racers and teams when it goes to try and approach people? Because I agree wholeheartedly with what you said. With me, you get new partners that do come in, everybody kind of sneaks in. We actually saw that post from Corey McAllister saying, like I need people to stop sending me messages about sponsoring because we can't sponsor everybody. And I think that happened with Quick Wick. We saw just so many people just navigate so quickly. And I'm sure it's very overwhelming for companies.
Well, even with Pamela, from Mighty Wipes, she has a flashy commercial, but they're a startup business. And I said, she goes, man, I got people calling me asking me for like $200,000 race teams. I said, that's because you got such a good commercial. They think you're $1 billion business already,
That's right.
And, they're just trying to get started. So, they're feeling that pinch a little bit, but I don't know. It's tough to say. Look what Glenn Steyer's faces. I mean, there's a lineup of guys every day at his door looking for this or that because he is fairly generous. And when you start to get generous, well, everybody has their hand out. But, it's tough to say what the biggest mistake is. I'll give you some tips, though. One thing I tell a lot of the up-and-coming teams, once you get to the level of an APC team where you're spending $50,000, you need some corporate money behind you. And not even corporate money. You need some sponsorship. And I've really tried to get rid of the sponsorship word as much as I can. To me, it should be a marketing partner. Sponsorship sounds like a charity or a gift that you're never going to get. But, most of the time, unfortunately, that's what it is. But I told young racers for many years now, the key to getting your deal going is don't go out and ask me for cash. I don't know. Are you going to buy groceries with that? Are you going to buy beer with that? Are you paying off old debts with that? Are you going to casino with that? But if you come to me and say, hey, man, 4 pit passes for my race team at Sunset Speedway are $1,200. Do you think you could do that for me for the year? Yes, I will. Because now I'm getting an invoice from, Sunset Speedway. I write that off. It works instead of me just giving Cam $1,200 or $1,000. Same thing. When we were starting out, we got a pizza place. I mean, food's expensive. So find your local pizza spot. Most of these guys will give you food on race day, whatever it is. And you say, hey, I'm going to Sunset Speedway race here. I got your logo on. We're from your hometown. And I mean, with me and my brother, we got pizza and wings for the crew every time we raced. So we gave him our schedule, calling Mark, hey, it's race day. He delivered the wings and that, and eventually became a guy where he'd stop by and have a Pepsi with us while we're working on the car during the day and bullshit for a while. And you build relationships and friends like that. Now, those are two things. You just fed your crew. You got into the pits. Now let's go after a gas guy. Okay, every time I take my car to the gas station, how about a trucking company that can give me $100 in gas? Maybe it costs you $200 to get back and forth, and it's $50 for my race car. So all these little stickers you're putting on, I'm talking mini stock guys, guys trying to get into the grassroots level who maybe don't have a corporate pitch or a good sponsorship deck, like this kind of stuff, like we're putting out Ohsweken. You're not investing in the full color guide or anything like that. But these are small deals you can make on a handshake that are relatable, that you're not asking me for cash. At the end of the day, I know my money's going to the right place because I bought the stuff for you. If you piss it away, it is what it is. But I think that's how you can really cut down your costs. And instead of asking to say, hey, I need $5 or $10 grand to go racing, get that value in other ways by getting people to direct buy the things you need. Look at your race program, figure what do we need to go racing? I need a helmet and suit. Hey, will you buy me a helmet and suit this year? Not, hey, can I have $1,000 because I need a helmet and suit, if that makes sense.
Yes.
It totally does. Because it's like taking a girl out to the first date and telling her you love her right away. It scares them away when you just ask them for a whole shit ton of money or whatever. But like you say, if you pitch it to them in a way that it's attractive to them to maybe market themselves in a new and unique way, but it's actually tangibly helping you without just saying, I just need a handful of sweaty bills. Like it's a far better pitch, and it looks a lot more like you have your stuff together when you're actually like pitching, I need X number of dollars for this. Can you help me with that? That's a great way
to the pizza guy. So the pizza guy maybe makes $2,000 in profit on a Friday night selling 250 pizzas. Well, now you're asking me to give you 2 pizzas or all the profit I made on a Friday at the start of the year. Now, when you amortize it over a year, it costs the same. But man, that stack of bills is tough to give you my whole night's profit for you to take out and race at Sunset Speedway. But you want to stop by at noon every Saturday and pick a pizza? Come on down.
Yeah,
and you're not doing a year's worth. That's a great point, because now you're looking at it from a different perspective. You're looking at your budget instead of, I need $15,000 a year. Well, no, what do I need weekly? What do I
Break it down
to make it?
Because that will scare the hell out of everyone from a mom and pop outfit right up to a marketing executive.
No way would they go
I need
for that.
10 grand or something. Yeah.
No. And that's one of the things that we're trying to talk with some of the racers, even in OSS, is I think there's still that old school mentality of, I'm just going to ask somebody for cash, handshake deal. Right. But we also, back in the day, you had so many companies that were not part of a corporation. Corporations have merged. They've acquired so many other of the small time names. I think you guys actually talked about this on Race Rivals, and that's why I'm bringing it up, because there was a time where you could go to the brake shop, down the road and get something from the brake guy. But now all of a sudden that company is now owned by this company, which is owned by this company. And you can't just go to the local one. They have to go, again, all the way up the chain. We bring up all the time, DeWalt, Stanley Black & Decker, all used to be separate. And now they're all under one. They have Craftsman on top of that. They have Irwin on top of that. So it's not like you can go to 5, 10, 15 different operations to go for a sponsorship or a partnership. Now you have to go to one, and you have to find the person that's in charge of all of that, which normally isn't one person. Right?
The other thing you've got is I found with corporations, they're not into paying a lot of little individual entities. I mean, even when we dealt with Pinty's at the end of our run there, we had a whole bunch of different things that they were sponsoring, but their check got rolled into one other check, and we got paid by that check because they didn't want to be paying out this guy and that guy and that guy. And, it's just, it's better to get in one, but it's tough to get those big things. But your mid-level guys are the guys. Your hometown guys, you can get a lot of value out of them, until you get to the top tier levels. But I mean, unless you're talking Pinty series where you need 250 grand a year, most of this stuff is workable,
Yeah, and it's great to hear this, like, 'cause this is why having somebody that is been involved in different aspects of it. Obviously, as a track promoter, you obviously have to be thinking of new ways each and every year to benefit, get more people in the track and through the gates, and that's something I also want to kind of to look into, and that's the Ohsweken Speedway. You guys have done some major events. Obviously, bringing in the Pinty series, having 2 races this past year, which was definitely probably a lot of fun for you guys, having to extend it another day after that. And then now the talk of SRX coming in, and there's a lot of excitement at this racetrack, but there's great shows. You have good audience, you have good car counts. We talked about this before, but do you get tired? Because it looks like you don't stop. Like year round, you're always got something going with Ohsweken Speedway, some sort of promotion. If it's not that, it's GSR. If it's not that, it's GForceTV. So I'm very curious, kind of being in that spot. Do you ever feel like you can stay content with what you're doing?
Well, a lot of questions there. I think last question is, I tell Adam, only losers are content. You can't sit around and be happy with what you got. There's always more things to conquer and better things to go after. And I mean, when I'm content, I'm retired. You might as well put me out to pasture because, we're always going to reach for the next best thing. Some days we reach harder. Some days we are tired. I mean, if you want something from me, don't call me in the morning. I'm miserable. I'm cranky. I need until about noon to get my head on straight. And then we can get some business. But all the negative stuff comes out in the morning. But yeah, I think, physically we're tired this summer. Some of these nights when we are some nights we do Ohsweken. So that's I'm up at 8, 9 in the morning that day. We're answering questions all day. I'll get to the Speedway around 1 or 2. The races will go on till 11. Then we're breaking down, dealing with whatever problems, be tech protests, problems. Hey, some nights it's just chilling out. Those are the best nights. Packing stuff up, and then we're heading. I'm getting out of there about 1:32. Then I'll go to Taco Bell, grab some food because it's the only thing open out of McDonald's, and then I'll drive right to Pearson Airport because my biggest fear is falling asleep somewhere. I can go to my mom's and crash. It's near the Speedway, but I'm an hour from the track. Or I could just crash, but I'm all night. I'm wound up after the races. I can't get sleep, so I'll go right to Pearson. I'll sit in my truck and try and sleep 2-3 hours, and then we're boarding at 6 a.m. So, and then we fly 4 hours. You sleep a couple hours on the plane, and then we're setting up at Newfoundland or Quebec.
Jesus.
And then we do that race again, and then you get back to the hotel, and everyone's like, "I want to come." My dad's from the East Coast. I'm like, "Dad, there's nothing to see." Like, we get on a plane, we rush to the track, we call the race. The beauty is that Joel takes great care of the whole crew. Takes us usually out for a really nice dinner and drink after. So we have a couple beers with the guys, have a nice meal. And then you got to be in your bed by 10:30, 11 because your flight back home is 6 in the morning again. So you're all over the place, but you're not seeing much. But I think it was the second week, maybe 2 years ago, when we were all cranky and our flights were canceled. We were all pissed off. And me and I just had a reality check. We just started laughing like 6:15 in the morning. I said, "Man, what are we pissed off about?" 25 years ago, we were two kids who would have killed to have the biggest sports company in Canada fly us around to the biggest racing company in the world's events and call these races. And ever since then, it's just been shits and giggles. When stuff gets off the rails, we laugh. And I think that's been the biggest blessing for us, is to really realize, we're pretty lucky to be able to do what we do. So it's tiresome, but it's great fun. Hey, like I say, I've got from now till April to chill out and recharge my batteries.
There's days at work everywhere. But Cam and I have that conversation where if we're wadded up about something like a tech issue that's not working right, but at the end of the day, it's not they're problems because we make them our problems and we care enough about it to make them our problems. But it's still a pretty good day at work every time we get to do something like this. Let's talk about kind of we talk about this whenever we have a dirt versus asphalt type conversation. Glenn's obviously the face, I would say, of bridging the two sort of worlds of the dirt versus asphalt. And as you spoke of earlier, you got guys like J.R. Fitzpatrick giving it a whirl. RSW's wedging himself into a sprint car. Cam Thompson's a guy that fights the good fight on the dirt and on the asphalt on the reg too. So, there's that old school mentality. And there are still the purists on both sides. But what's it like from your perspective, seeing the dirt versus asphalt kind of starting to gel a little bit?
So my dad raced dirt my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
He's retired now, but raced up through Merrittville modifieds and everything over the years. Then my brother Mikey came along and raced sprint cars for a bunch of years. And, so I've been through it all, but mainly on the dirt side. And then I started venturing out. The first ABC race we did during the pandemic at Jukasa, I look back on it now, and I didn't know who anybody was. I was like, "Hey, go interview Shea Gemma." I'm like, "Which one's he? Who's this guy?" I didn't know anybody. And then we've come to really get to know these guys over the last 5 years. But yeah, I didn't know who any of them were because I was 3 days immersed in the dirt side. Mm-hmm. And I want to, toot GForce's horn a bit and say I think GForce did a good job during the pandemic because we were forced not to go to races. So we were giving you great asphalt stuff and great dirt stuff, the best of each from around the province during those past, pandemic years. And I really think that took the snobbiness of, dirts for potatoes and asphalts for getting there. And we realized, hey, we have great personalities and great racing and great facilities on both sides of this fence. Yeah. And I think that's kind of really been our GForce. Our biggest thing is we've kind of, what I like to say is cross-pollinate. We've got a lot of people knowing now who Rick Spencer Walt was, whereas 5 years ago, nobody on the dirt side did. And nobody probably on the pavement side knew who a Dylan Westbrook or a Corey Turner were, but now they do. And I think that's been one of the big things. We've always had guys like Cam. Look at our best guy, Dave Bailey, in the Thunderstocks. For a long time, he drove that one mini stock on both dirt and asphalt, which we don't see much anymore. I think he won the championship in both one year.
Yes,
in the mini stocks with the same car, which is crazy in today's day and age. But no, I think dirt's very healthy. It's been that way for a long time. If there's anything, dirt's a bit more snobby with it's on our car counts, because I look at some with a 8-10 car count and I'm like, man, that division needs to fold. Whereas on dirt, because if you can't bring us 24 or 18 cars at least, we don't want you no more. Like, you're in trouble big time. Yeah. So that's kind of where I guess that's another whole other topic. But if you ask me, that's we all need to get rid of a lot of classes. We need to get back. In the 70s, we had 70 guys in every class because there's only 3 freaking classes. You had mini stock, late model, and modifieds, and whether you drove pavement or dirt, that's all you had, right? Now we got too many.
And Clinton, that kind of brings me to actually another topic that I was going to bring up, which you segue very easily when you don't even know what the topics are going to be. But we are seeing more series that pop up, and whether there's conflicts that results in that's why that they're popping up. I'm going to guess that, again, your belief is cut that we don't need 3 late model divisions across Ontario. We don't need 4 Ontario modifieds. We don't need legends or multiple of these series because, again, it affects the counts. So I guess conflicts is going to happen. It's part of racing. It happens. But why do you think it is that people always, is it just people's own ignorance that they feel, oh, well, I can do better?
Yeah, I think it comes down to, it's funny for me to talk because I can speak. I know what we're living on the dirt side.
Mm-hmm.
I can only speak about what I see looking over the fence on the asphalt side. So I want to be careful not to throw too many stones because I live in that glass house too. But I think from the dirt side, we have less tracks. We really have Brighton, Buxton, well, now Southern Ontario Motor Speedway, Merrittville, Humberstone, Ohsweken. So we've got 5. We got Brockville and Cornwall, but I'm talking the south on Southern Ontario, Southwestern Ontario kind of area, because those guys are 5 hours away. Brighton, 2, but we've really worked together with Brighton, Ohsweken, Merrittville, Humberstone, and Southern Ontario Motor Speedway to work on common rules for mini stocks and street stocks. About 10 years ago, we got there. So we started the Ontario Dirt Competition Committee, which is basically the 4 tracks and the champions. When we need to, we can bring them in and get, 10 to 12 people's opinion on it. Now, ultimately, the promoters and the track owners are still going to do what's best for them. It's their business. So no matter if all the mini stock champions get together and vote to run turbochargers in, airplane engines, we're all going to be like, no, this is our place. We're not going there, right? But so it's kind of like that selective. When we want your input, we'll take it. When we don't, we're not. And that's just how it is. It is still mostly a dictatorship. But I think what we've seen on the dirt side is by working together, now I no longer have an Ohsweken mini stock that can only race at Ohsweken. I now have a dirt ODCC mini stock that I can sell to a Brighton guy, a guy 3 hours away in Chatham, a guy 2 hours away at Port Colborne and Humberstone, or whatever the case may be. So now you're selling a dirt ODCC legal mini stock, which you now have a bigger pool to buy cars, a bigger pool to sell cars. We also saw during the pandemic when a lot of tracks were closed and there was only one track running a weekly special each weekend, let's say, because we really tried not to step on each other's toes during that. You saw the best of Southern Ontario Motor Speedway and Merrittville's guys and Humberstone guys and Ohsweken guys all meet at Brighton because Brighton had the race that weekend, could race on common terms, and that was fantastic. So that's been really good. Sprint cars and crates pretty much have had that across the board. If you got a 360 sprint, you can race anywhere from here to California pretty much. Maybe a wing, top wing, a wicker build change, something very minor. And then every series typically has a right rear, but most places you're putting a rear tire through a night anyway. So it don't matter if you got to buy the club tire. Ohsweken, we're remarkably good. You get about a month on your tires at Ohsweken. It's very soft on tires. But, back to that, that's been strong. On the pavement side, they very least have to get the 4-cylinder mini stocks, the bone stocks, and the super stocks all on one freaking package.
Yes.
Now,
yes.
And if they do, they will have the same benefits we've had on our side, where you're not selling a Varney car or a whatever it is. You're selling an Ontario Pavement Late Model Alliance car, and it's legal at these 8 tracks. Maybe the tire's different. Now that's a different thing. There's tire income, there's different things. And you got to remember, a lot of these tracks, that's part of their income has been selling tires. Tracks will go buy a load of tires from the supplier. They'll deal them out of their garage every Saturday, make a few points on the tire. So that's a part of their income structure they're not willing to give up. We don't do that at Ohsweken because you're just sending them to BRP. But I can see why. Brighton's on that. Mark picks up all the Hoosier tires, and Meaning Hoosier, you don't have to drive 3 hours back to St. Catharines. They have them on board. So getting everybody to agree on the rubber, but the rest of the car, damn it, they're the same freaking thing. Bone stocks, I think, are the closest thing we've got to it, where everybody's playing nice and it hasn't got too stupid. And for the most part, but even still, they still have little variances here. They're like, my God, people, you got to work out now. Why do we have this? In my opinion, throwing a stone from a glass house. I think you have too many veteran racers in this deal who all think they know the best way. And I don't know who it is, but you look at the ownership and management people at most of these speedways or series, they're all former racers or current racers still, and they've all been through 20, 30 years of experience. So why they have the opinions they do, I can't speak to that. I know we had to break down a lot of barriers on the dirt to just say, look at, man. Like, I know this is hard for you to give up, but if you give it up, I promise you in 2-3 years, you'll see the benefits of it.
Yeah. It's such a good point. Like, you get a bunch of guys that are in the same trade together, start talking about how they do stuff, and it's going to be like 10 different trades people have 10 different ways to do it. But I mean, you got to have that one consistent voice to just paint it with the brush. And as you said, like, if you had these classes that were, you're not just track specific cars, it opens up the whole ripple effect. As you say, the marketplace becomes that much more connected from one track to another too.
You know, even to the modifieds, we have OMRS and, you know, Oscar or whatever that is now. But, you know, they got to figure out how to blend that gap. If tires the sticking block, fix it. Like, whatever it is, someone's got to step up and lead that charge and drag everybody together and say, this is stupid. Like, come on, man, we could build better events. And I think that's been the biggest thing for us. Even as we see crate sprints start to emerge in Brockville, Can-Am towards the east, as soon as I heard they were talking crates, I got right on the phone and said, man, just why stick with our rule package? It's cheap. It's effective. We've got seals. If you stick with us, we can build $5,000 to win events that your guys can all participate in. If you go out on your own, we're going to tell you to pound salt and go do your own stuff because we gave you the opportunity to take the golden pass, and we're not making money off tires. We're not making money off seals. This is advice. This is not profit. You know? So, and they did, and we've been able to build, you know, all this great stuff.
Well, and working together, as much as it sounds cliche and like the happy-go-lucky, you know, we all got to work together and we're gonna build a dream, you know. Well, it kind of needs to happen because at the end of the day, like you said, there are people that are trying to sell cars, and what do they do? Like it says, it's set up for full throttle, and guess what? Only if you're planning on running full throttle are you going to take that car, right? There's.
Well, I think that's the mentality. If I have rules that are only at my place, once I got them, you're stuck with them. You know, so it is very hard to leave that mid-season or piss them off. I say common rules, and let's let our business acumen dictate who runs where, and by how we treat our people, not by, hey, he's got that car, so he has to stay with me. It's like a contract, you know. They're cool,
need to have. Yeah.
But if you don't want to be with me and I don't want to be with you, what's the stupid piece of paper going to do for us? It's not going to fix our relationship, you know. Just makes us miserable.
Exactly, and like we've one of the things that I think we both really, Graydon and I really both appreciate, and I think we've really learned, because when we first started, I mean, you might remember that when we started the podcast, it was only NASCAR pennies that we focused on. And there was a couple people that told us, like, you should focus on grassroots. And wow, what a great piece of advice that was.
That was some good insight.
Holy cow, is it so enjoyable. I'm not saying that we don't like the NASCAR Canada series, but man, it opens your eyes up to so much more and so much more of the stories. And the guys, like, I don't want to bring up his season because it broke my heart, but Steve Conway was a story and a guy that he would do these post-race or pre-race thoughts in his car, and you hear the emotion and the effort that he's putting in, and he just wants to finish a lap. And you think about all the stuff that they go out and they destroy in big time NASCAR, and it irritates me to no end. So you go to these Cup Series guys, and they go out there and they just wreck the whole field, like $1 million of cars. And all this guy wants to do is make it one lap in his mini stock. And it just, I don't know why. I guess Graydon, I mean, I don't know if I speak for you, but I mean, it feels like it means more when you get to talk to these racers. You get to see the real heart. You know, it's not all
I got to
behind the
meet
lights.
Steve in person at one of TJ's tournaments, and like before the season started, and he's just a good guy to talk to, and yeah, as we kind of called him, No Quit Conway. That guy got every kind of gut punch or kick in the junk he could possibly receive in a race car, and even, as we said, to his own health issues that the poor guy suffered too after that. Shout out to Steve though, man. Talk about perseverance.
Yeah, not a lot of quit, you know. And some of these guys, you know, you look at our top level teams, but it's the grinders. Like, these guys are struggling to get there every week. I think, you know, racing's a great sport. There's a lot of great stories. I think, you know, just like you mentioned, Steve, if there's one thing racing taught me as a young adult, I would have been 21, 22, when it really kicked in that you can do anything. Because my dad brought home a race car. We had a blown motor the first week, and I'm like, oh, I guess it's it, road. He's like, what are you talking about? We're going to figure this out. And we scrounged up some heads and we ground it out. Next thing you know, we're at the track next week. And, you know, you do that enough weeks in a row, you realize, okay, there really isn't anything that can stop us if we really want it. You know, I really believe in manifesting stuff. If you think you want something, think about it enough, dream about it enough, and, you know, go after it. You know, but what they say, a dream without a plan is just a wish. So, you know, make a plan and go after it. But
so true.
Yeah.
You know,
and
there's so
that
many
was so
other
damn
things.
well said. That was
he's,
You know,
it's like he knows what to say, huh? He's pretty good at
man.
this.